Hey, what's up, Patreon? I'm here with my man, Benny Bostrom. I'm in the Pacific Northwest. Oh my God, you guys. I don't know what to tell you. This was the most challenging, trying tour ever. And when I wrote a thing on Facebook today, and I even dropped the Patreon thing, I thanked like all the clubs and the promoters, but I thanked you guys too, because I mean, this tour physically with my health going bad and financially with the dates. It was so hard to make it through this with a positive attitude. And I mostly did. You know, I had some down times. And I was saying today in the thing that some of the darkest times that, well, like a photograph, like an image. I stole this from a Joyce Meyer video that a photograph needs to be developed in a dark room. And sometimes the hardest times are the things that shape us. And it's kind of like I was talking about with certain notes on this thing that sound weird, like the 3 double bend. Mm-hmm. How that can be like the prettiest note on the harmonica.
If you time it right.
If you time it right. Yeah. Right. Or if you get like the right vibrato, like. Because I can't make a 4 blow sound that good. Right?
Yeah.
Chris McCulloch can.
Yeah.
Anyway, I'm here with Benny. Benny assisted everything on this tour and was like driving me around to radio stations. Benny has been assisting me on Patreon when I'm not in the chat and you guys ask questions. First of all, even if I was in the chat, I couldn't answer most of the questions.
They have some crazy questions sometimes, like.
But you know more about harmony than I do. I think you do. I think you know a lot more about music theory than I do.
Does anybody really know anything?
I don't know, but I think I think measurably you do. Actually, you can answer questions I couldn't answer. So anyway, I thought it would be a fun idea to do a Patreon video where Benny asks me questions about anything and I answer them, and then I ask you questions about what you would like to see on Patreon. Now, here's the thing. So I just finished this like 3-week tour, sick, and then just finished a seminar. So like one of the last things I actually want to be doing right now is recording a video. Like I want to be done and relaxing. But the reason that I'm doing it is because I am grateful. And like gratitude is an action. Mm-hmm. And so I have to sit here and do this and I really enjoy it once I get started, right? But I didn't want to do it. But one of the things that I wanted to say is that like I feel guilty a lot for like not posting more on Patreon. Now I know my formula is you get free videos on YouTube with no paywall, and that Patreon is just supporting that, and that every now and then I throw stuff up. I try for twice a month, right? And sometimes I do 6 things in 1 month, and sometimes I only get 1, right? But I've never done nothing, I don't think. Not in 5 years.
Yeah.
Right, but anyway. How important is it that I have a video to you? Honestly, just be really, really honestly. Like, do you ever think of leaving Patreon? Because I worry about
for me personally, and I know a lot of other people feel the same way. You know, just from like other patrons that I've connected with, like outside of the Patreon chat, because I reached out to a couple and we've, you know, had some chats here and there. It's not really about the videos. For me, I really kind of more so enjoy, you know, having that really like procured chat where there's people who like want to be there, right?
Yeah.
And nobody there is ever yelling at each other or saying that technique's garbage or try this, right? Because there's a lot of that in the like harmonica world, right? So I really value it for that. But I think I'm also a lot like
so insightful.
Yeah, I think I'm also a lot like you in the fact that, you know, I just like being able to give to other people as well. And that's kind of a place that I've identified where I can help other people answer those questions that they have. specifically, like, you know, if you're on tour and they can't reach you for some of these
Yeah.
things, or like if you're all over the place,
I just
trying to play
forget.
a bunch of shows. Yeah, so
I just
like,
forget that there's a chat.
Yeah.
Like, because I have to respond to Instagram
Yeah.
and email and Facebook all the time. Like, I have to.
yeah,
And sometimes I just forget, and I'm like, oh my God, there's messages in my inbox and Patreon for a month that I haven't answered.
yeah. So I think one of the things I actually gain the most out of the Patreon is I'm actually what I would consider to be like very hard to teach, because like there's just things that like I'll figure it out on my own, right? And I've always kind of approached it that way of like I'm gonna go practice this thing on my own for 4 hours, and like if you kind of tell me to play like these 4 notes, I really don't want to.
Yeah.
Right? But like I will find my own time when I feel like personally ready to go play those 4 notes, right? It's kind of like whatever I'm going to work on now, and I want it to happen very naturally.
Yeah.
The thing I benefit more, I think, from on your Patreon videos is more of just like, you know, like your check-in videos. You're like, hey, I'm just on my porch smoking a cigar. I know that there's been like several like very dark times like several years ago, like 2-3 years ago, where like my entire friend circle just turned incredibly sour. I had nobody to like talk to, and like I didn't really know what to do. Like I had some like family drama coming up, and you posted a video on New Year's where you were like, I was going through this family thing, and you know, I thought like, why does it fucking matter?
Yeah.
Right? And that was what I needed at that specific moment. And
I remember
value those
that.
things more than anything else. And the world has a very funny way of working, because those always pop up into my feed, and you always post one right when I'm just like,
That's so
like
nice
I
to
need
hear.
one. Like
I know.
Yeah.
And like, you know, like the video this month, the one that I took down, like the reason I took it down was because I was talking negatively about somebody in the band. So I pulled it down. But like when I posted that video, like I needed to tell somebody, like a group of people, like what was really happening. Like not just one person.
Yeah.
And like I felt like, I don't know why I felt this way, but I felt like I could trust you guys, and I could. Like I did. Like in the same way like you can trust that people on the chat are not going to be like complete dicks to each other.
Yeah, no, we see a lot of instances, and it's one of the very cool things I think about the chat too, is there have been many people in the chat. I mean, people look to you a lot because of like your life experiences and like things you've gone through, that like they like, oh yeah, right, like you attract a lot of people who might need some help in some things in life. And the chat, I've seen many instances of somebody being like, man, I can't play right now, and it's really getting me down, and like all these things, and everyone is immediately there like, this is perfectly okay, like you'll be able to play when you come back, or somebody just got like off from a band or something, and then they're like, I just can't find the motivation to play because, you know, I was playing with that band and I really liked it, and now that band's no more. And
that's
then
hard.
Then they say like, whenever you're ready to play, come back and play, but we're all here to talk about even more than just harmonica, right? If you want to talk about other things, it's a very good support system of people.
You know, that saying, the more I practice, the luckier I get, is coming into my mind because, like, sometimes when things aren't going the way that we want them to go, like with a band or, like, gigs or like, whatever, a lot of times when we get the thing that it is that we wanted, we're like, oh, my God, I didn't practice hard enough. Like, I'm not ready to have the job. So, like, whatever situation we're in, if we're practicing, we're automatically preparing for being ready for whatever it is that we might want to happen or might not even know we want to happen, you know. But anyway, it means a lot to me to hear you say that about the like little life videos, because it means a lot to me to be able to go on Patreon and kind of say those things. But sometimes I don't, because like turning on the camera, like the minute we turned on the camera, it's a little different. Like, so like we were initially going to do this video on the drive to the radio station.
And then an hour and a half.
And then like, I like enjoyed, and I mean this sincerely, enjoyed your company so much that I wouldn't turn the camera on. Even though at that time we were talking more about harmonica, and it might have even been better to have that video than this one, and kind of fun in the car with the distractions of showing the Northwest. But like, I didn't want to ruin that moment of realness between us, and like also just getting to know each other, right? Instead of like now, like, okay, let's just turn it on, and if we're a little bit fake,
Yeah.
That more than normal because we know the camera. It's better than ruining our real moment of getting to actually know you.
Yep. Yeah. That makes a lot of sense to me. I mean, I know you said exactly that on the way there. You're like, I don't even want to turn the phone on right now. We were having great conversations about a lot of stuff, even some of the stuff we're mentioning now. I mean, we've mentioned several of the things we talked about even at the seminar earlier.
Right.
And at the show, you made reference to it on one of the nights. So, like, yeah, I agree.
So it means, thank you for doing this, by the way.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, like,
this is great.
I'm so impressed with you. Like, I was impressed with you before I met you, like, as a musician and as a communicator, okay, online. But, like, getting to know you, and you've been so selfless and so fun, and I'm, like, really impressed also, like, I love that this isn't what you want to do with your life. Like, I think it's, like, so smart, and it makes me feel, like, safer for you.
Yeah.
like better. Like,
it's one less thing to worry about.
Right. Like, like, for example, if this is what you wanted to do with your life, I would have to be pretty mean, actually, to you. So that's kind of one of the things that I wanted to talk about. Like, some of the things that I say on Patreon, I don't say on YouTube, right? Because not just things about life, things about spirituality, but like, okay, today in the seminar, the guy that played more notes than he was asked to play. Like, we had an exercise and we were going to do 4 notes and an arpeggio, and he kept putting in more stuff. So I was a little bit, like, I called him out on it. And I called him out, and I suggested that the reason he was doing it was that he wanted to impress people more than he wanted to learn.
Yep.
Okay, so how I came up was very different than how I teach on YouTube. Like, the people that taught me were kind of mean sometimes, and it's kind of because they love me. And so sometimes on Patreon, when I'm talking about life and stuff, I'm actually talking about music. And sometimes on YouTube, when I'm talking about music, I'm actually talking about life.
Yep.
Right.
Yeah. So
I'm kind of like, because I don't believe it's like, I'm not like, oh, in my day we used to walk both ways uphill.
Yeah.
I don't think that's good.
No.
Like, it's not good to be abusive to people. But at the same time, like, you got to tell people the truth.
Yep.
And that's hard. It's hard to do that.
Yeah, I know I've caught myself in a couple of instances where, somebody was like, I have to play this song, and, like, what position would you play the song in? Because when I try to play it, I have to have the sustained overblown. It doesn't sound very good. And I got myself in a little bit of trouble because my response was, I'll just play the note better.
Yeah.
Right? And I was like,
right.
And I was like, that probably wasn't the nicest thing to say, but, like, that's...
Like, or what, like...
Like,
yeah.
this more, like...
Right. Or, like, today when I was talking about Charlie Beatty telling me, pardon my language, slow the fuck down.
Yeah.
Like, that was exactly what I needed to hear at that time. And it was, like, the only time that somebody ever said it to me where I would listen because of how and, like, where it came in. So it's not so much what we say, but how and where we say it.
Yeah.
But I don't think just play the note wrong is that mean.
Yeah.
I mean, just play the note right.
Yeah.
Better.
Yeah.
I don't think that's that mean. Yeah. But I mean, like, Bill, the guy in the background and bass player, and, like, all of us, we came up in environments that were, like, in bands and vans that were, like, mean. Like, they were right, where people, like, would told us that we, like, fucking sucked. Like, in those exact words, right? And then you'd have to get on stage the next night and play. Like,
and that's like, it's just running, and it's just,
right. But then when they would say, now that was really good, you knew they meant it.
Yeah.
Right. So have you seen the movie Whiplash?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
So a lot of people get upset about that movie because they say that's not what real jazz school is like. Now, of course it's not.
Yeah, of course. It's a movie.
Right. But in the movie, the bad guy is the teacher. Right? And he's the bad guy because he's abusive. Right? Like, he actually physically hits students.
Yeah.
Okay. So here's why, to me, he's not the bad guy. Okay, so I'm out here. I'm sick. I'm on the road. I'm 50 years old. I don't have health insurance. Okay? I'm not making any money on this tour. And if somebody hadn't have been mean enough to me to make me good enough to do this, I wouldn't be able to handle this, right? I would lose it. You know what I mean?
Yep.
And so in a way, this bad guy in this movie, Whiplash, he's discouraging these kids because they're jazz students. So in a collegiate level. So they're going to do one of two things, either teach jazz or perform jazz with that degree, right? That's it.
Yep. Yeah, that's it.
So if he tells them that they're not willing to work hard enough, that they suck and you're not good, and that's enough to make you quit and become a lawyer or a doctor or a diesel mechanic or whatever it is, then he's saving that person a lifetime of letdown and misery and hardship and poverty, potentially addiction and other pitfalls of the business. So it's actually, by being mean, very compassionate. So one of the things as a teacher that I struggle with, teaching on YouTube and even on Patreon, is not saying certain things to people like I did today. Like in that moment, in that, to me, in that, I still feel guilty about what I said to that guy, okay? But I know that that was the most important part of today's seminar.
Yep.
Deep down. And I don't think I was that
everyone
mean.
else there gets the same message when that's delivered, right? Because like even if other people didn't play, you know, all these other notes and were trying to show off, it delivers the same message to everyone. So everyone can walk away with the same point.
And what I told him afterwards is, I'm going to make the same mistake that you made tomorrow. And that's true. And so the reason I'm being hard on him is because that's how I have to be on myself if I want to get better. And the fact that, like you said, that this isn't what I want to do for a living, and the fact that I said that saves me from having to be more mean to you. That's true, but at the same time, like, as I get to know you, Benny, like, I know you care a lot about music, and I know that our friendship, we can do away eventually with some of the formalities. Like, if we start talking and you start calling me on Skype, like when I'm available, like it's beyond me. It would be free because I love how hard you've worked. Okay, so like I give back to those that put in the work, and it doesn't matter if they have the money. If they have the money and they want to send it to me, that's fine because I need it, right? But if they don't, I also need to give back to continue to keep what I have.
Yeah.
So, like, I feel like our relationship, I feel like there's things I could tell you now after this week about your music that might be able to help you that I wouldn't have been able to tell you before getting to know you. So one of the reasons I'm not more opinionated on YouTube and even on Patreon is I worry about losing patrons and money.
Yep.
And then that stops me from sometimes, I think, delivering the correct message.
Yep.
But at the same time, I'm teaching people I don't even know.
Yep.
I can't even see. I can't see their facial reaction. So how good is it? How much help am I doing? Am I catering to losing patrons, or am I just being nice for the sake of really being a good person and not being such an asshole and opinionated about stuff? I don't know the answer to that. Yeah.
Very, very hard, yeah. I mean, I think for a very long time, I know a lot of your, like, older lessons, you know, like your lessons that are, like, 10, 11, 12 years old.
Yeah.
They were very kind of scatterbrained, right? And I've had this conversation with a lot of people where, like, they look at the old videos and they're like, yeah, man, it's really kind of hard to learn out of those videos because, like, you're going off on tangents and all these things.
Yep.
And, like, but those are some of my favorite videos that you've done.
Yeah, well,
because there's, like, little pieces of stuff in there that, like, if you watch the whole thing, you can be like, okay, what is, like, Jason really saying?
Right.
And it's definitely changed, like, more so now.
Yeah.
Because you're very focused.
So here's some of the things of the old videos. So some of them are scattered. Okay. Now, first of all, there's a few things you have to know about, first of all, the history of YouTube. In the beginning, we could only post videos that were 10 minutes. Did you know that? So I had to fit the entire concept in the 10 minutes. So sometimes I was rushing to make it through things. So there was that. Number two, I didn't know how to work editing software yet. Okay, so I had to try to get everything in like that, right? I couldn't take out the fluff.
Yeah.
Number 3, back then, I hadn't received the accolades that I have now. Like, I hadn't won as many awards and didn't have this name. So I was trying to prove something in my videos too. So some of what I was doing was not for the purpose of education, but was for the purpose of showing off.
Yeah.
And under the guise of education. All right, now that motive was even clear to me at that time. Like, I knew I was doing it. Whereas now I'm like, kind of like, who cares about me, right? And like, I don't have any hopes and dreams anymore, and I mean that in a good way. Like, I just like being able to make a living playing music. So if I make a video where I don't play one thing that's kind of cool, I don't care as long as people are learning.
Yeah.
Most of the time. Now, sometimes I like to throw in something just to keep it fun and exciting, like to keep their attention in the beginning, or at the end of like, here's where we're going with this eventually. But I think like my earlier videos were way more ego based.
I do think the point more so out of it though, right, is like, you can put just about anything in a video. Like going back to the original point of like, I don't know if I'm too mean to people or too nice to people or all these things. I feel like you can kind of put anything in a video and everyone's going to learn something different from it or take something different away from it, right?
That's good.
So I think you have a lot of creative leeway, at least from my perspective, you know, on the receiving end of seeing all this content.
You know, I could make videos on YouTube that I think would get more views, and I don't. Like, I look at some of the videos, I'm not going to name names, but by some of the other YouTubers, and I feel like they're YouTubers first, and harmonica players second.
Yep.
Now, they may never have made a YouTube video if it wasn't for harmonica, but I feel like the way they sell their stuff,
they're trying to get outreach based on the way they're doing their video instead of, you know, necessarily going on authentic like care and improvement.
Right, because like the majority of people that watch YouTube videos are people that bought a harmonica today.
Yep.
So they're not looking for like real quality content. They're looking for something fast and fun and easy. And even the people that stick with it don't want to really be challenged. And I think like some of my videos ask a lot. Like the last one I made, it asks a lot. Like,
I mean, even the thing that came up at the end of the seminar, right, as we were talking about harmonica caprice in D minor. You made a video on that 3 years ago, and it's titled in the title harmonica caprice in D minor parentheses advanced. Yeah. Right. We just I guarantee you that video is not necessarily going to do better than just hey, here's this Paul Butterfield lick.
Or top 5 worst harmonicas.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
I've never made top 5 worst harmonicas.
Yeah. That's right. Exactly it. Yeah. So
top 5 anything.
Yeah.
The top 5 shit is that's the thing.
And they refer to that as clickbaiting these days. Yeah.
And that there's studies that prove that if you put your face on the cover of the video with your mouth open or to the side like this.
Yeah.
That and that you get more clicks.
Yep.
And sometimes I do it and sometimes I don't.
Yeah.
And it depends on how I feel. Can I really live with myself right now? If I go, right? And sometimes I can't.
Yeah.
Sometimes I'm it's fun.
I can definitely think of a couple where you've been
just
on the front,
I'm always going to put my face on because I know it sells more. But every now and then I just won't. Yeah. Right? And it's like a rebellion for me. It's but one of the things that I feel about my Patreon patrons and my YouTubers is I feel I don't know if this is true or this is a lie I'm telling myself, but I believe they are loyal. They will come to me. I might not have 100,000 subscribers like Tomlin or Liam, but I feel most of Tomlin and Liam's guys are people that subscribed, got into it, and then forgot to unsubscribe. And they don't even watch. Right, but I mean, it's true that he has more people watching because he gets 30,000 hits in a day, whereas I'm lucky if I get 3,000, and I'm really lucky if I get 3 in a day.
Yeah,
that's amazing. I can't remember. I think the last video that got 3 was pretty recently, was the Paul Butterfield lick.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. People love those videos.
Yeah. And I actually like making them because, see, now, like in that video, okay, what I did was I started off with a lick, but then I was like, oh, well, it's really just a 6-chord arpeggio for 1 and 4.
Yep.
Right? And I was like, oh, this is really, really cool. So now let's put it into a 12 bar and let's figure it out, right?
Yeah.
Right. And and here's the 5 part if there was one.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
So like I like to give a little bit of meat, but a lot of people don't want meat. They just want fluff and candy.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
Including me sometimes.
Yeah.
Like when I watch TV, like when Kate and I get into bed and cuddle, she'll be like, "Oh, there's this really good movie," and I'll be like, "I don't want to cry tonight. Like I don't want to think. I don't want to cry. Can we watch werewolves?" Right?
I want to watch a compilation of 30-second videos that are going to make me laugh, and then I'll go to sleep. Yeah.
Yes. I feel like sometimes like I'm like too much, like everything has to be about, you know, God and spirituality and discipline and this and this and that and this and that. Maybe I should throw some damn top 5 videos, top 5 harmonicas I don't like. You know what harmonicas I don't like, just for you, Patreon? Lee Oscar. I don't like them. I hate them. And I'm not crazy about the Kong Shen stuff either. The way it feels wrong to me.
Yeah.
But anyway, you still haven't tried JDR?
I have not tried those yet. Yeah, no, I'm gonna try one here soon, and then, you know, I
hear the Assassin's pretty good.
Yeah,
they're doing the nail polish on the reeds and shit.
Yeah,
yep.
I've heard good things about it. I recently tried out some Seidel's, like the Session Steel, and
I'm not a fan.
It's like okay. It took too much to gap it and work on it. I still haven't quite decided.
Well, okay, so the Manjis take a lot to gap and work on, but I feel like they're worth it. And like honestly, like off the record, right on Patreon only, like. Sometimes the way they sound is better. Like when I listen to Philippe Gers. Now, listen, I can't play as well on a Manji as I can on a Hohner. But I do feel like the Manji was the beginning of me sort of slowing down and thinking about music more.
Yeah.
And less about speed and impressing people.
Yeah, I've always been really impressed with the Suzuki diatonics and stuff. The only thing that keeps me off of them is like it's so hard to get parts and stuff for them, right? Because they don't have an American like factory anymore, so like their prices kind of went up, and you can't find any replacement parts. And the spot, and I build all my own harmonicas, right?
You do,
so, yeah.
You do. So like, can you replace a reed?
Yeah.
Yep, and you keep spare reeds around and shit.
Yeah, like these are crossover covers. I have Marine Band, like deluxe screws on there with a Blue Moon comb.
A Blue Moon brass comb.
Yep.
Hey, can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
So, do you ever feel like brass and metal combs that the reeds stick more?
I've never found that. Well, actually, I have found that. But that's because they naturally get colder, right? And then the condensation makes your reeds want to stick more, the same way that happens on like the chromatics.
Oh, there's a science behind it.
Yeah. So the reason why like your notes on chromatic stick is because they get cold.
Yeah.
And then your breath warms them up, and the condensation, like if you were to like spit in your harmonica,
I never knew that.
Play it like sticks the reed. In the same way.
Oh my god, that is.
I've played with them being like ice cold before, and like I went to play a show and they were cold, and I have them like in
and like
my shirt.
All your overblows are sticking and shit. Yeah. See, I didn't know that. See, I totally learned something. See, he's so smart. You're really, really smart.
Yeah.
This is the shit I learn from you all the time. Now, you know who I want to get on next is Sean. Mad. Mad is the other one.
There,
who else am I missing? Who am I overlooking? We had Sage Hopkins in the seminar today.
Yeah. Mad is one of the other very, very active, smart people that I know that like is usually up to some mad scientist stuff. I think there's some that are like come and go, and they kind of, they're there 1 month and not another month, and then back another month. But Sean's always there for sure. Yeah.
Now you know what never worries me, like. I meet a lot of players that are like even technically better than I am that maybe learn from me, but I don't feel like they have a sense of swing.
Yeah.
Like right?
Yeah.
Everybody's, and I don't feel like they, like even Blue Monk, right? Like the way I play it.
Well, that was the example I was gonna give. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Bump it. Right. Yep. Right there. Yes. Right. Right. Now the older, right. The older I get, to me, the more important that is.
Yeah.
And the less, because there's a million guys that can go always
One
on every
of
instrument.
One of the really good examples I have of this is the lesson you gave on Liza Jane, right? On Little Liza Jane. Your lesson on there is like completely different than the way you played it on like the porch clip you had the other day of, right?
Yeah, I'm playing better now. You mean? Yeah.
Because before it was all right.
Right. And how am I playing it now? No. Yeah, close.
Yeah.
Right.
Like it's so different and
right. And so this is like what I was kind of saying in the seminar today is that sometimes it's more important to stay with one thing for a long time. Now we talk about this a lot enough in my YouTube videos too that like where I say to people like stay with one lesson, but then I put a new lesson out every week, and then they're like, and I sometimes I even read comments from people that heard me say that they're like, I'm trying to stay with one, but I can't help but watch the new one. Yeah. Right? Yeah, I get it.
Yeah.
I get it.
Yeah.
But so what it is you find something that you're in love with, and then stay with it.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like I got that's not my idea to swing it like that. Like I heard a trumpet player doing it, and I went, oh, that's way better than how I do it.
Yeah.
I'm just barely playing the song before.
Yeah.
Now I'm really having fun with it. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think more people should work on just feeling, like making shit sound good.
Yeah.
You know, That's what I think. Yeah. Well, I should have got you a banana bread.
Oh, I'm okay. I'm perfectly okay.
All right.
I should enjoy that.
All right. You got any questions before we wrap this up? This was fun.
Yeah, I had. Well, I actually want to touch on two things. I think one.
Take your time. We can go another half hour. I don't care.
Yeah, I think one of them is better suited for kind of like a wrapping up thing. Earlier at the seminar today, you said you wanted me to be less of a drummer.
Yes.
I want to know what you mean by that.
Yes.
And I think that feedback could probably,
Yeah.
I am perfectly okay receiving all of that feedback, how you want to give it in front of everyone else.
You have a lot of chops. But, okay, so when you listen to my playing from the early 2000s, up until 2008-9, right? Like, what you're hearing is the notes don't matter.
Yeah.
And sometimes you're hearing some pretty cool rhythmic ideas. I can actually play it better than I can even sing it, right? When you listen to me now, you're hearing down, more space, more variance, right? I think that's all you need. And like your knowledge of harmony is so good. Rest assured in the power of just a few of these notes placed the right way, and then jump into your triplet stuff. But like how you played Hip Hugger the first night compared to how you played it the second night, when at the beginning I said take your time or something. I said, you got I'm going to let you play as many choruses as you want to, as long as it's interesting. If you get up there and the first chorus, I'm going to be like, all right, piano, right?
Yeah.
But if you come up and let's play it, right? So B flat harmonica, you got one?
B flat?
Yeah, E flat, E flat and B flat. My harmonicas have not been working very good, right? So 1, 2, 3. Nice. Yeah. I don't think it does that every time, by the way. Yeah. Yep. You're going to take the first solo. I'll just comp. Yeah. All right, now you come. Right? Ready here.
That was actually so we've played this song twice this past weekend.
Yeah.
And one of the coolest things, I got some of the recordings and clips back from some people who were there.
Yeah.
And like the differences in the way that we play it, we're actually like harmonizing the like parts on it, right? Because you're playing like the upper end, like da da da. You're playing the octave, and I'm playing the chord down
Right,
below.
I noticed that too.
And even on that part over the four. Right, you're playing that up, and it sounds really cool.
It did sound really cool.
Yeah.
It was so cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. But my heart was stuck on all of those gigs. I think that 7 below was stuck on every one of my B flats except for this one. But anyway, that was so fun. So it's so funny. So sometimes when I'm listening to a younger player play and they actually play like me, you know what it makes me do is it makes me slow down.
Yeah.
Like I go, oh my God, that's how I sound. Calm down, Jay. Right?
Yeah, because the first night I played it, right, it was all...
Yeah. A lot of patch stuff. Yeah. Right.
Right, it's all, it's all...
And you've heard that story about the girl I was dating, and I brought her to see Pat, and she said after the gig, I said, what do you think of Pat? And she said, well, he sounds like you except smoother. Right? So it's like a lot of like what I've been doing the last 10 years is just kind of refining, right? And less about look, it's important. I'm learning new things about harmony and stuff. Okay, I am not as much as you, but not as much as Constantine, not as much as Philippe, but I'm also learning just make things try to sound good. You know what I mean? So anyway, a lot of times instead of right, can I get one note to really do what I want it to do? I know it's a tired lesson. I know it is, but it's true.
It's important. It's tired, but it can be important at the same time. You know?
Definitely, man. Definitely. My hearts are out of order here.
Yeah. So that was question one I had for you.
Turn it over to Jay.
What?
Get them in order.
Yeah, I thought you meant get the sushi order in. I'm like, I'm ready to do that. I'm starving. Yeah. Yeah.
The one other question I had for you was like, I know we talked about a lot of younger harmonica players, and you experience a lot of them. You see a lot of them, come and go. They enter, they disappear. Some of them stick with them. Some of them don't.
Yeah.
What is your overall opinion on kind of the future generation of harmonica players and like the outlook for how that's trending?
I think I have like really like high hopes. Like I can tell you this like in a kind of an arrogant way, like, but it's not, because my first AA sponsor said that humility is the constructive use of the truth, meaning that if there's something I'm good at and I can say that it's, as long as it's serving a purpose of helping, right, then it's not, I mean, it would be false humility for me to say, oh, well, I'm no good, right? Yeah. When in reality, there are things that I am good at, and there are also things that I'm not so good at. So I have never, ever claimed to be like an important person in the world of harmonica. However, I know that I am, okay? And I don't sit around and talk about that because it's not important. It's not constructive. But now you have asked me a question, okay? And I will say that one thing that I have done is normalized overblowing. Like, I've taken it out of the realm of just jazz and made it something accessible where people can go, oh, well, it really does sound good, even on just blues and on regular playing, okay? So it makes me feel really good to see that there's some fast playing and some overblow playing and some stuff that out of the younger generation that I feel that I've had a part in facilitating. However, I will also say that Dennis Grinling and Joe Falisco, conversely, have had a really important role in keeping traditional blues alive. And so much of what I do that I think is important and also missing from some of this younger generation is a real love and reverence for some Little Walter and Junior Wells. And I think that people hear Howard and Constantine and Philippe and me and Pat Ramsey even.
It's flashy.
And they get excited by it. And what they don't realize is that the bread and the butter and the meat and potatoes that is involved in really, really studying out of everything I played today, that Little Walter half step shit, that was the strongest thing that I played, in my opinion. And I think that the younger generation needs to embrace both worlds more. But overall, I'm blown away, bro. Jared Goldweber, Constantine, he took a lesson from me, and now I took a lesson from him, and I could take way more, right? And I've taken one or two lessons with Philippe Gers too, and he's younger than me too. I forget that he's younger. I feel like he's older than me.
I'm also on his Patreon. He's so cool.
He's so cool, and he's so nurturing and loving and soft. And
he actually also recently on his Patreon he opened up a chat like yours, which has been nice. I know Sean's over there on that one too.
Man, I'm on it. I just don't participate. I just give him my money every month because I love him, But he listens to the vlogs. He likes them. He'll listen to them when he's driving or running and stuff like that. But I'm really excited. I listen, or this new kid that I'm really excited about who's on here, Kyron, the U blocker that we mentioned. I know Kyron, if you're listening, which I'm sure you are, you said I think your problem is improv, right? You're not, I don't think you believe you have what it takes to just play. Yeah. And you're really good at making stuff good, but you're not sure how to do it differently every time. Well, dude, you're killing it, bro. That's all I can say is you have a lot of natural feel. I'm really excited about Kyron.
Yeah.
And
I saw an improv for like a jam he played, and one of the comments he had underneath it, I believe, was like, "Oh yeah, I started like reusing some of the licks, but like one of the other things is like more vocabulary and more things to say just come with more playing.
Yeah.
So like it'll get there naturally, right? Like the biggest thing is foundation and kind of making sure that everything is there. It goes back to the conversation, right? Of like one of the bigger things is making sure that your notes sound good.
Yeah.
And then you can do more and more and more and more.
But
like, of it.
where you were talking about like Andrew Alley.
Yeah.
Like,
love Andrew.
And so here's a traditional player that doesn't play any overblows. But when I listen to Andrew, I'm like totally inspired.
Well, like that's like the other thing that's like a good example though, right? Is you and I discussed on the car ride out of the radio station is like it used to be so divisive, right? It's like play this way, don't use overblows. One of the nice things, and it's a great conversation to have with Andrew all the time because I go out to Port Townsend and I just kind of sit in his like beginner harmonica class, and Andrew's like, "You don't need to be here. Why are you here?" And I'm like, "One, just to support you, Andrew."
Yeah.
And like two, Andrew is like incredibly respectful when it's like somebody in his class will ask about overblows, and Andrew will just like point to me. Andrew's like, "I don't do that," and it's perfectly okay that he does or that you want to, or that this happens, right? Like, which is a nice change.
Or like when I listen to Dennis Grimling or Kim or any of the guys that I really like that play traditional, I don't ever think, "Where's the overblow?"
Yeah.
Like, or I don't gauge myself as being better. As a matter of fact, sometimes I think I double guess myself.
Yeah.
I'm like, man, maybe I should just stop doing that on every song, right?
Yeah.
But like, I'm at a place now with my music where I don't think about it, which is good. That's good. As long as I'm not thinking about it. But like, I think a lot of people want to learn things kind of like the way like kids want to learn, like, or get a black belt.
Yeah.
Like they want to be able to say, I'm an overblower, or like it's an achievement. Right? When in reality, it's a way to get a note.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's all it's for.
Yeah, and I mean, at the end of the day, right, like, nobody in the audience cares
they don't care
if you have that black belt or not.
They don't care.
They just want to know what you're playing. And
there's some harmonica players out there that are really advanced that play overblows that I can't listen to. That I just think they're horrible. Like, and not musical. And I hate to say that, but like, guys, I do hear some guys that I don't like. There's not many, because I normally can find something that's interesting, but when I hear nothing but like people that are trying to impress instead of play, I'm just like, I'm over it.
It starts becoming self-serving, right?
Right,
yeah.
And the same thing can be said with people that are so traditional that they're worried about like playing too many notes so much that they're like. And they're like, you can see them thinking, like, I have to be cool, right? And like, or I'm going to play in a way that Joe would like. Falisco.
Well, it goes back to the Rick Estrin lesson, right? Of like, you can do just about anything you want as long as you're doing it with feeling, and intention.
Right. That's what it is. That's what it is in the end. And Rick is so amazing.
Yeah.
And all right, my brother. That's a good place to end. Thank you. Anything else before we wrap up? This is it. I'm ordering sushi now.
No, I do think one of the things you mentioned to me on that ride was like you wanted to see me start making content. So I can start expecting some of that. I'm going to try to start making some stuff. And
I will subscribe. Do you have a channel yet?
Not yet, but one will be going up, I think, in the next 2 weeks.
That'd be great. And I will promote it. I will help push it. I'll help get you your 1,000 subscribers so you can start making some money.
Okay, cool.
Like, $5 a month. Yeah.
That's a cup of coffee. Right there.
Eventually, I pay I was able to pay my car insurance from just YouTube.
Nice.
And now I pay my car insurance and like $100 too.
Nice.
Yeah. Right.
Yep.
Yeah. My brother. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Give me a hug. You're amazing.
Yeah.
I had a wonderful time. Thanks.
Me too. Yeah.
Okay.